Hello Spartans, Principal Fertal here. Hey, we cannot wait to have students arrive back on campus this week for the first time. We are so very excited, as I like to say, perhaps even as excited as you parents are to have students out of the house for the first time. But seriously, we cannot wait. It's a very exciting time. And maybe more importantly than being excited, we are ready for them. What I want to do today is just walk through a couple things that we've talked about, things that we've announced, but to give you parents especially just a glimpse of what's going on here building-wise in terms of your students returning to St. Mark's starting tomorrow. So here we go. Okay, so here I am outside of the school. Now this week, as students are coming together just as a class, all students this week should use the gym entrance. When we start school next week, the door that students should use, as we have put out before, goes by their grade level. So juniors, starting on September 1st, will be using the door over by the admissions office on the right side of the school as you look at it. Freshmen will be using the main entrance to enter school. Seniors will be using the door by the finance office. And sophomores will be using the door by the gym. This is just one more way to help mitigate large groups gathering by using 4 different doors depending on class level. Again, that begins when we go into full hybrid model on September 1st. This week, when classes are coming in one by one, all students should use the gymnasium door. Upon entering the building, all students will scan their ID cards for attendance. So each of the 4 entrances will have a separate scanner so that students may record their attendance safely and efficiently. As always, after 8 a.m., students who are reporting to school after 8 a.m. should report to the main office as normal. As you would expect, all throughout the school, we have lots of signs reminding students of the basics of battling the COVID-19 virus, which is to, of course, wear a mask, keep your distance, and wash hands. Suffice to say, we cannot remind one another enough to take these basic preventive measures. Of course, the washing of hands is one of the critical measures to take place to help combat the spread of COVID. Additionally, we have hand sanitizing stations pretty much all over the building, both ones that are mounted on the wall, such as you see here, as well as freestanding stations by most of the main entrances to the building. The faculty and the staff have been hard at work. Of course, here they are in the cafeteria doing some live training with Microsoft regarding Microsoft Teams and the camera systems that are being installed in all the classrooms for our remote learning. So there's a learning curve for the faculty and staff as well as the students, but of course, in typical St. Mark's fashion, they have embraced it and they are ready and they're excited to have students back in the classroom as well. Just a reminder, since we're outside the cafeteria, in this newsletter, there is a link and a little blurb to remind everyone that the cafeterias will be open starting next week, September 1st. However, it's a new system because of COVID regulations. So there's a boxed lunch that must be ordered and paid for at the time of ordering. There's a link in the newsletter to take you to the proper page to do that. And lunch for next week, all right, for the first week of full classes must be ordered this week by this Friday. So please make sure you pay attention to that blurb in the newsletter regarding the cafeteria operations. They will be open, but it's an entirely different system. Students will not be able to simply walk in and purchase food in the cafeteria. Everything is through a prepaid, pre-ordered system, and that's the way that our catering company needs to operate this year. So when it comes to events or gathering students together, it's all about spacing. Of course, students will be wearing their masks, and with that, 3 to 6 feet with a mask is our spacing. So here I am in the gymnasium, and as you can tell, we're already working on having our dots laid out for student seating for the assemblies this week. Cafeteria will work the same way, though the cafeteria will be 6 feet spacing because students will have their masks off for eating dinner, so it must be 6 feet. And then in the auditorium as well, we can fit students in there, again, socially distanced. So whenever we gather students together, together, it's all with distancing in mind and spacing in mind. In the classrooms right now as we speak, we're putting dots on the desks that will be used to have them spaced apart as well. So every time that student is gathered in a classroom or in a large setting such as gymnasium, cafeteria, or theater, they will be socially distanced, and it'll be clearly marked to help students know exactly where they should and should not be. So in the classrooms, each of the desks that will be used, and again, the classroom regulations are 3 to 6 feet distancing. Each desk that will be used by a student is marked with a reminder for the Spartan head, and I guess constant reminders again about all of our normal practices. And all desks in the classrooms will be disinfected after each class, and the teacher will be responsible for that. Okay, so here I am in the nurse's office, and the nurse's office, of course, is always a very important place. Oh, yeah, there we go. Okay, behind some protective covering. And we have isolation rooms set up. Again, any student who is feeling ill or any type of symptoms, the nurse's office is the first step. Again, a lot of preventative measures in the nurse's office. Communicate directly with you at home, and there's an entire protocol, which I'll spare all of it on the video because it's 3 pages on what happens if a student has a symptom, is suspected, etc., and what happens when they go home. But the most important thing to know is that we are set up fully in compliance as a safe place for any students with issues. And again, from here emanates all of our protective gear. Of course, students, we have the mask requirements that have been spelled out. We have extra masks. We have gloves for teachers. We have, in fact, full protective suits, which the nurse is wearing every day. So again, no shortage of supplies here at St. Mark's as we focus on student safety as we reopen for the 2020-2021 school year. So once again, parents, we are ready and we are excited to welcome your students back on campus. I guess 2 final closing thoughts. One is, don't forget, we can do all that we can, and you have a big role in this as well. If you have a situation of a positive case or of an exposure, to keep us informed. We can only be proactive and then react to things that happen. But your working with us, of course, is critically important in this regard. If you have a student who is feverish, who has had possible exposure per the guidelines that we put out, by all means, keep that student home. We are a partnership in this. The health and welfare and safety of your children is as important to us as it is to you. And in that regard, we need to work together. And then lastly, throughout all of this, our community has been so very supportive, has been very patient. And again, we're in this together. It sounds cliche, right? The new normal and unprecedented times, but those are cliches because they're true. So we are in this together, and we will work through this together. So if there's a question, if there's a concern, something comes up, as I told my faculty and staff all last week, take a breath. Let's have some communication and let's work it out. We, the St. Mark's community, you, I, all the faculty and staff and students, we will rally together as we always do, and we will have the best year possible, not just in light of COVID, but we will do some great things that we haven't done before in light of COVID, and we will provide an exceptional experience for your sons and daughters. Again, thank you for your cooperation, and look forward to seeing the students here this week. Go Spartans!